QB said and done. All your fiat inflate to beyond the sun. But no more because now there's a better one. And his properties perform better than all the rest of them. It's mathematical. No more double spend, it's encryptable. Put your cash in your brain or it's wearable. A new form of wealth begins. And I want you to know, Toshi, I love to earn my digital gravy. I love to spend my bitcoins, matey. I love Satoshi's Bitcoin, baby. Rewards keep coming, the P. Ooh, I love my bitcoins on so shady. So send me one more Bitcoin, baby. I love Satoshi's Bitcoin, baby. It's just time from all the heat. Constantly, miners hashing blocks so securely. There's no chargeback, sign up, or other fees. Bitcoin sent to me from your private keys. And it feels like we've been rescued. Mankind set free from the bonds of death-based currency. Irreversible, replayable, divisible, cleverly. So I want you to know, Toshi, I love to earn my digital gravy. I love to spend my Bitcoins, matey. I love Satoshi's Bitcoin, baby. It's just dying from all the heat. Ooh, I love my Bitcoins, Bitcoin, baby. So send me one more Bitcoin, baby. I love Satoshi's Bitcoin, baby. It's attaching like a baby. Designed to be scarce and worth alone. Beats every record we've known. A shine for each phone, that's how the miners roll. And the blockchain goes on and on. Toshi got this program package, solve the problem, double spins. Proof of work with all the hash, making us some digital cash. Miners stack this saber spin, share their answers with their friends. Still conference right teams of block while kids carry friends throwing rocks. So you fall short in Toshi. Folks in stadium with their glasses rosy. When the world finds out we cannot play, you'll join this party fashionably late. I love to earn my digital gravy. I love to spend my Bitcoins, matey. I love Satoshi's Bitcoin, baby. Green ones keep coming, the Bitcoin. I love my Bitcoins, so shady. So send me one more Bitcoin, baby. I love Satoshi's Bitcoin, baby. I love you. It's attaching to the beat.
And we are live. Welcome to my this time, Judas Fly Chai. You have a friend in chat. Jonathan Pohl is here. Welcome to my two viewers. Another Monday night chill stream. What's going on? A bunch of stuff, but it's just trying to stream on the regular. What should I start with? Let's start with some drama that I didn't write in my notes. There's been drama. I don't know if you know this. Jonathan Pohl will like this because I'll do this for him because he's here and he loves e-drama. A lot of guys know, Judas knows that I go on Norvin Hobbs's, some of his channels. He used to send me links and I would go on his channel. And what did I do? Like he sent me a link a couple of weeks ago and who was on everyone's favorite drug addict, Patrick Bateman. And Bateman he's like OV, he just doesn't learn. Like it's a bad idea to get into a verbal shootout with me. Like it's a bad fucking idea, you know? So he started getting under my skin, I went after this. It was so brutal what I did. I took him from an infant. I said, can you imagine, Bateman, like how happy your parents were when you came into this world, and then how horrified they became once you grew up and they realized you were an insane lunatic, that your brain was diseased, that they took you to every doctor and they spent all kind of money, and they went to priests and psychics, and like, and I went this whole growing up and how he destroyed and disappointed his parents, and how they were secretly relieved when he went and became a junkie and hung out in the projects. And I was like, fucking bang, bang. I was, I'm like, enough with you. And even Norvin, who didn't show it, he's like, okay, boom, he kicked me from the stream. So he kicked me from the stream, and then what else did he do? I don't know. He didn't let me back on. So I rage quit. I have officially rage quit Norvin's channel after he booted me at first. But I rage quit right afterwards. It was like so close. Wasn't even close. But I just said, all right, whatever. I understand why he has those guys on. They can do 4 hours on, on hey, well, how's it going? You know what I mean? That's their entire life. So, but that said, I probably won't be going on there too much anymore. But that was it was very short lived. The problem is with the clash of reality versus, whatever those people are. You know what I mean? Whatever they are, and I'm not telling any tales out of school. When Norvin a couple of weeks back was, he was like slating OV. I was saying that OV is like, he managed to, get himself kicked out of every like extremist stream there was. Like there was something called the gas station that was a big, like, I don't know, Holocaust revisionist stream or something like that. And he had gotten a wrench there, and he was on the stream and blah, blah, blah on the panel. And then whatever he did, like he stabbed them all in the back and they booted him, and he got booted from everywhere. And then he would DM Norvin like, oh, please let me back on, and blah, blah, blah. And he like, like it's a bag of snakes, and it's a bag of mentally ill snakes. And that's what they all are. That's what they all. Yes, OV probably has been expelled from 109 streams, but that's it's not impossible. Although everybody after I went on that politically provoked thing, which by the way, Claire Caw had her big debut this weekend, secular Quranism on politically provoked. I didn't check it out. I'm not sure if there's anything there that would be new to me, but I tweeted out that it was like the Luke Ford, or the Lucosphere, the recycling of all those kooks, being brought back. And I'm thinking 2016 is over. Like 2016, 2017 is over. So I don't know. And I'm not sure it was that good or even that long ago that you could be nostalgic for it. But part of the problem, I guess, listen, anybody that's going to make content, you got to like constantly create content. You got to come up with something. And whatever that politically provoked thing is, and I totally think it's an op. Whatever that is, they're not, even they are pressured to come up with something, So in the case of Norvin, he's got to have OV and he's got to have Bateman, because they constantly they can just fill dead air. They can fill hours and hours of dead air space while Norvin does whatever he wants to do, and politically provoked is gonna dig into Luke Ford and whatever the dregs of the Lucosphere, or I don't know if there was anything other than dregs of the Lucosphere, but I mean I was never in it, so I was whatever. Maybe I'm just secretly jealous. Maybe I'm just burning with a sense of rejection that I didn't get an opportunity to argue with the mentally ill Australian. You know what I mean? Because it's not like I don't argue with enough mentally ill Americans. But I guess Australia was a bridge too far. But funny thing, also in this, I read one tweet that I don't know who the guy was. Paul will know who the guy is. There was a tweet, some dude. He's like a very serious guy. He's like a very serious bearded German dude from the 1880s, I think, who apparently the German Industrial Revolution pulled all the farm workers off the farm into the cities to go work in factories where they made more money, and there was no one to pick the apples in Germany or whatever, apples or asparagus or whatever they grow in Germany. There was nobody to do that. Yeah, Weber. Weber. Weber is like everything. Weber is like knives. Weber is gas grills. Weber is like that's got to be like Smith. As far as that's got to be like the name of Smith, the German Smith Weber. That's got to Smith or Brown or something like that. That's how common that's going to be. At any rate, so the guy made a beef about that the wealthy agricultural people in Germany had imported Polish apple pickers, and this was a problem to him. And so I tweeted out, and it was a good. I think it's a good point, and I'm going to base this entirely off of. I read one tweet, and now I'm going to come up with a. I'm from this. I'm going to generate all kinds of content, but this guy was unhappy that the Polacks were picking apples and that the native Germans weren't. And it's not like the native Germans were on unemployment or smoking meth or anything, because there was no meth to smoke back then. But they had just left for better jobs. And he was unhappy about the Polification, the Polakification of whatever part of Germany this was. And it seems to me that on a meta level, you have rich industrial Germans creating a condition that forces rich agricultural Germans to import workers, and then this interferes with the culture somehow. But I don't think that the Polish in 1880 were like rapists, murderers. Like I don't think they were burning stuff down. They did. I don't think the Polish did to the German countryside what blacks did to Detroit. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure that didn't happen. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think that I don't think that it was out of control. I don't think that German, I just don't think the Polish did to Germany what blacks did to Detroit. I just don't think it happened. I could be wrong, but it seems to me that all of this, and then the end of the tweet was that 40 years, like 4 decades after this whole process started, that the National Socialists used this as a source of friction to gain political power. So you have an economic condition between two sectors of the economy, the industrial version versus the agricultural version. The solution for one is import foreign workers. And I would argue that the Poles are very much like the Germans. You can spit nails all day long, but the Polish are much more like the Germans than Mexicans are like white Americans. I don't think anyone would argue with that. So, and then this causes problems afterwards. So once again, rich dudes fucking shit up and then pointing at somebody else. And this is, it's not going to change. I don't think that's going to change at all. So, so for all the people, the so-called white advocates that, that are talking about, close the border. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to have a white ethno state. Well, there's no white ethno states in Europe, which are the whitest countries still today. I don't know what percentage of European countries are white, but it's got to be well over 95% or 90%. So they're still the whitest countries ever. I don't care which country you pick. Even England, I think, is still well over 85% white, with all their imports of Asia and Africa and everything they got, and all the Caribbeans that have been there or that are there. They don't think of themselves as white. They don't think of their neighbors as white, and that we're all one big happy family with the same genetic characteristics. So we're all going to get along. That's not an idea that works over there, and it's not an idea that works here either. And the thing, and I tweeted, I did like a little rage tweet, like all right-wing politics is bullshit because they're all pussies because they all avoid economics. They just absolutely 100% avoid fucking economics completely. You know what I mean? So, and whatever their plan is, it must be the greatest plan ever because they keep it in secret from all of us. But to dummies like me and to people even dumber than me, there's no way we can tell the difference between you guys and the small hats that are currently running things. Like what's the difference? I don't know. You know what I mean? You guys eat bacon? Oh, congratulations. That's fucking wonderful. So there were social problems with the Polacks. Well, because they're fucking Polacks. You know what I mean? They're fucking putting pierogies in a crack pipe and who knows what the fuck they were doing. Listen, I think that my guess is the friction was a lot less than it was made out to be. You know what I mean? I understand. Here's how to solve the problem, right? You don't want the Polacks picking your apples. You know what I mean? One, tell them to leave. Two, pay the German kids, or whoever, kids or whatever, adults, pay them more to pick the fucking apples. You know what I mean? But they were getting better money working in the cities, in the factories, and that's that. And that's what human beings respond to incentives. Even German human beings respond to incentives, as crazy as that might sound. And these problems, these problems, are created by people at the top who want more for themselves, and they end up making problems for everybody. And then shit goes sideways. But well, whatever. That's now I have to enough with this. Enough with all this improvisational first 15 minutes of this dream. You know what I mean? I got to stay focused. I got to stay on track. I have a wide audience of 4 people watching this at this point. 4 people. That's a 300% increase from last week's audience. You're telling me I'm not popular? Serious? Okay. The 5 people now. Look at this. Look how huge I am. What numbers I'm doing. Name of the stream is Here There Be Dragons. And I was thinking, and this is about New York City and what's going on in New York, and like this. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This one, wow! The dominance display that the elites engage in is just. It's really like as tone deaf can be, right? So let's share. Yeah, somebody leave a like. Seamus Crawford will leave a like. He's great that way. He's good with leaving the likes. You got to leave a like to piss off the algorithm. You got to piss off YouTube and all the algorithm things. So what do we got? Are we getting ready to put this up on this? Yeah, it's gonna share any day now, right? Come on, show up. I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter. This was one of the best things I saw. This is like the total holiday season. This is 30 Rockefeller Plaza where they have the giant Christmas tree. And this is a giant rainbow colored dragon that has been installed there. You know what I mean? And the other figure floating above it, and those figures carved into stone around it. There's a whole lot of sculpture and stuff that's super meaningful. That was done in Art Deco style, but they're supposed to be supposed to show a lot of stuff. But yeah, a rainbow colored dragon, right? In the middle of New York City, the rainbow color is absolutely the flag of Biro Bidzan, right? It's a mythical monster that destroys cities and eats people. And this is what they put in there. I don't think it's a Chinese dragon. It's from the Middle East. It's from Tel Aviv. It's not a Chinese style dragon. You know, that is a small hat dragon, without a doubt, because of the rainbow color. You know what I mean? They have to, they just recycle their same old things over and over again. But you think about the statues that have been torn down. They took down Teddy Roosevelt, all the statues they've taken down. And now look, right before Christmas, the biggest holiday of the year, they're putting up new ones. They're putting up new ones that they want you to see, right? Like, and this, this just comes out of nowhere. And whenever anything just pops out of nowhere, already done, a fait accompli, and no one knows where it came from, it's always a Hebrew dragon. This is a completely Hebrew dragon. And there's another one. I don't know if you can see in the lower right-hand corner of the picture. I did a close-up of it. There's basically a zombie there, right? There's where's the zombie? Show the zombie picture. Hey, you're not showing the zombie picture. So I got to be careful if I push this stupid laptop too fast. Then, yeah, so there we go. Right? This is in the corner next to the dragon. I'll make it bigger up over its head, and everybody taking pictures of this skeleton zombie. Virgil Doc, Purple Heart, welcome to the show. Look at this, 6 viewers now. That's a 500% increase from last week. That is just absolutely amazing. If only I could monetize this. So yeah, this is 30 Rockefeller Plaza on Christmas. So you have a gay Hebrew dragon and zombie skeletons lining the most famous display of Christmas in New York City. Like, you know what I mean? There are people that come to go see that tree at 30 Rock. It's the biggest deal. And it jams up traffic on 6th Avenue. And there's nonstop crowds and people go take pictures and do videos and blah, 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 blah. It's a New York thing. And then there's guys with little push carts and they're selling roasted chestnuts. And it's like the whole New York and Christmas thing. And then you can go to whatever, the jewelry stores and spend $1 gazillion and have your Christmas in Manhattan. But that these literally monstrous, statues are being placed in New York City on Christmas is like, it's like, and no one even bats an eye. Like nobody bats an eye. Now we got a new mayor coming in, Eric Adams. Eric Adams is a black guy who used to be a cop. And he was like one of those. He started a group called 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement or something like that. They were like, we're not against cops, we're against racist cops, and whatever. He was used as a political tool. He ended up becoming a state senator, and now they brought him back and recycled him as mayor. He beat Curtis Lewa for the mayoralty of New York City. I don't know who would have been worse, but there's going to be a black female head of the NYPD. It's not. There have been black police commissioners before. In the 90s, David Dinkins had a guy named Lee Brown, who was out of New York so often they called him like out of town Brown. And of course, the 90s was a really bad time for New York. And that was with a black dude in charge. And Lee Brown had, he had some decent experience, I think, I think he was from Houston or some other city. Like, he'd been a cop for a while. I mean, obviously, he's an affirmative action hire. He's getting promoted way beyond his abilities to manage a large police force. But at least he was a guy. Now there's a black female going to be in charge of the NYPD, and that, like, the mayhem is going to be like, you can't even imagine. Like, it's your mind cannot stretch far enough and twist wildly enough for the videos you're going to see. So certainly I'm going to be posting on Twitter. Like, it's going to be insane. But like I said, as the money stops working, the Roaring 20s kick off, and things are not getting better. In Chicago, America's second largest city, they had some. They've been doing a lot of flash robs. Then this stuff blacks have done this since the 90s, at least that I know of, and maybe even before that. In New York, they just bum rush a store. They used to do it with leather jackets, like leather jacket stores, and they would, $100, $200, $300 leather jackets would just be on a hanger, in a display somewhere in the store, and they would come running. They would scoop up all the jackets, just scoop them off with the hangers and everything, take them and run out of the store to cars waiting in the parking lot and drive away. This was really, really common in the 90s. And now it's super common. Social media is exaggerating it. Well, in Chicago, a couple of days ago, there's a high-end car dealership. I don't know if it was Bentleys or Lamborghinis or some like super high-end cars. Well, they also were selling like super high-end watches, right? If you're going to go dump $300,000-$400,000 on a car, we're not going to know. I'll tell you where they get the money in a few minutes. Look, we just happen to have a $300,000-$400,000 watch. You can have as well, and some good boy who didn't do nothing and is just about to turn his life around, went in there just with a standard hammer. This is probably the most work he's ever done. The only time he ever held a work tool in his life. Went in, smashed a jewelry case, scooped up like 3 or 4 watches, and ran out with $2 million worth of watches. Now, insurance has to cover that. You know what I mean? I don't know how often that this can happen, but all these smash and grab robberies, flash robberies, is all this spreads over social media. Everyone's getting this idea. Everyone's doing this everywhere. Okay. And how to stop it. Things are spiraling absolutely out of control. And it's going to create changes. And insurance companies are going to demand this to whatever brick and mortar retail there is. And you see it now, like the glass windows, they're going to go. They're just going to go. If you ever see like Walgreens and stuff in the ghetto, a lot of times they don't have windows anymore. You know what I mean? There's some windows along the top of the building, but mostly they have like the old movie poster displays, like a glass case with a poster in it that's lit up that tells you something. Well, now it's going to be just a screen. They're just going to put screens on the outside of the building, and that's going to show you what's on sale or what they have to. There's going to be like rolling advertisements, just like the menus in fast food joints, right? You go into a fast food joint, the menu is a screen, and it constantly changes, and it shows the product and whatever, and whatever their specials or whatever they're pushing this month. They're going to have that on the outside of buildings and commercial buildings, brick and mortar retail is going to be, basically it's going to be, a fortress. You know what I mean? There aren't going to be any windows. You can just throw a brick, drop the window, and everybody rush in like you've seen on social media. That's going to end. Okay. Seamus, bring back stop and frisk. Yeah. Listen, you would have to Auschwitz these guys and you still wouldn't get enough of them. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen. That isn't going to happen. There is no political will to do this, and there is no money in the budget to build new prisons to house all these people and to keep them in jail or in prison long enough to stop this. And even that would cost $1 gazillion because you got to give them free medical and you got to give them everything else. And, it's there's no money and there's no will for it. So instead, the cost will be shifted onto retail. Retail is going to change how it does, what it does. Everything's going to be a screen. Okay. And like you're not in front of screens enough, right? So that's how you're going to shop in the real world. And I'm seeing it on certain big buildings already, something like as large, like a drive-in movie theater screen, advertising something, Coca-Cola, whatever. It's going to look a little bit Blade Runner-y, but this is going to happen. It's going to happen due to necessity because the physical building will not be secure enough. And then there's going to be access control. I see this everywhere. When I was down in Baltimore a couple of weeks ago, they're nice looking, newer, apartment buildings or condo buildings or whatever they are. And, there's these plastic access panels. They're about, I don't know, how big are they? They're like, maybe like that big, right? That's not one of them. And it's got an LED red ring in it, and you take your access card, you press it up against that electronic thing, and that opens the door. You can't get in the door without that. And only the people who live in the building obviously have that. Access control in and out is going to be huge. This is coming more and more and more and more and more. And it's going to be because the police cannot control the streets, don't want to control the streets. No cop is going to shoot anybody, is going to arrest anybody. They're not going to do anything they don't have to do because I'm not trying to be on the side of the cops because the cops are pretty screwed up. But there's going to be no law enforcement until whoever is doing the bad thing is exhausted or offs themselves. That's just not going to happen because no cop's going to risk his life. He's not going to lose his job and go to prison for trying to do his job. Whether you think they do it well or badly, whether you think they're fascist or whatever, it's a lack of training. Whatever you think it is, they're not going to do that. Okay. So, and no one has the will to control this. Could it be done? Yeah, it could be done literally in a matter of 6 weeks. It could all be sorted out, but it's not going to happen. It isn't going to happen. Ron DeSantis isn't going to do it. Donald Trump, who now hates Netanyahu, is not going to do it. You know what I mean? He's like, oh boy, I really hate those Jews. Yeah, sure you do, Donnie boy. Sure you do. You know what I mean? You should when Donald Trump says, I'm going to run again in 2024 and The primary test to see if you get in my cabinet is will you eat a fucking ham sandwich? You know what? If he does that, and then at least he'll be fun again. But he's not going to do that. You know what I mean? It's just stupid. It's just stupid posturing. They're doing all their market research. They're doing all their and everyone hates Jared Kushner and everybody hates the Israel thing, and he knows it. And he's just trying to work an angle. I don't think it's going to work the second time, but maybe it's going to work. Maybe it will. Who knows? There's a lot of really dumb people in the world. A lot of really dumb people in this world and in this country. You got Russia and Ukraine kicking off. I still say that's over Bitcoin because Ukraine's adoption of Bitcoin means they're moving away from the ruble, and you can't have that. All of these government currencies, all of these fiat currencies are essentially Ponzi schemes. It's all a con. Now, America is the biggest and strongest one, but Russia doesn't want to lose everyone in the Commonwealth of Independent States to lose faith in their paper currency in the ruble, and they're not ready with an electronic ruble. Nobody's ready with any electronic currency, right? They're just not ready for that. Where are we at? Here, IMF. The IMF once again screaming, for something to be done. But the problem, of course, is, when you're dumb, fat, and lazy, and you think you own the entire world, and effectively, they sort of do. When a challenger comes up, you're not ready, and they're not ready. What date is this? Come on, pop up already. IMF outlines the need for global approach to crypto regulation. So if you look at the first paragraph, the IMF calls for a comprehensive, consistent, and coordinated approach to harness the benefits. That is to say, some crypto that they can control, that they can shut you off from anytime they want, and while mitigating its risks, while trying to outlaw Bitcoin, trying to outlaw or suppress what they don't want. So and this is I can't see what the date on this is, but this was recent. They're losing control of this, and they are not happy. All right, even though it does kind of the sort of thing that they want. There's the wonderful scams, and this is one of the scams of. This is why crypto is such a scam, and I tell people stay away from crypto. Only buy Bitcoin. Only buy Bitcoin. Only buy Bitcoin. This is that digital art. It's called NFTs, right? And this guy figured out exactly a great scam. Here it is. I have $2 million in Ethereum. I create an NFT. I use my $2 million worth of Ethereum to buy my own NFT. I still have my $2 million, and now I have an NFT that is officially worth $2 million according to its price history. I sell that NFT to someone else for $200,000 or at a 90% discount, and now I have $2.2 million in Ethereum or whatever. Crypto is a scam. NFTs are a scam. It's money laundering. It's a scam. Please stay away from it. Don't be tempted by this. These people are going to set you up. Your money's going to be gone in the blink of an eye. Do not engage in this. Do not engage in this at all. And if you know anyone who's going to engage in it, just laugh at them and tell them, have fun staying poor. By the way, price of Bitcoin as of this show, 46,000 or so. We're just going sideways in the 40s and 50s. Why? I don't really know. We were supposed to be at 250,000 by now. I was supposed to have enough money that I could make a whole bunch of changes in my life, but that hasn't happened yet. So we got to be a little more patient. In the meantime, gives people an opportunity to just stack more, to just get rid of as many US dollars as you can and collect as much Bitcoin as you can, and then custody it yourself. and that's going to be the smart move because nothing in the bigger picture has changed. Like Bitcoin's high was 69,000 on November 10th, right? So we're about a month away from that, down about 30%, whatever. I've said this before and I'll say this again. My purpose is to use Bitcoin to destroy the Federal Reserve note, okay? Legally and peacefully without firing a shot, all right? That as New York City goes down the tubes because it's crazy dragon statues and zombies. What was the other one? Here was the other freaking nightmare one. Where is it? Here we go. This one was even better. This one I liked even better once I realized what it was. Share. This is the one by United Nations. This is like, and this is the kind of thing, everybody likes, you like Dungeons and Dragons? You know what I mean? Yeah, you can make a Dungeons and Dragons adventure out of this. This is outside the UN. A giant griffin, right? It's a lion with wings, and it's also amazingly just happens to be painted in rainbow colors, just like the big dragon. And the mythology of griffins was they would stop you, they would ask you a question, right? And if you didn't answer the question correctly, they would kill you, right? That's the whole thing about you had to fight the griffin to the death. So this is at the United Nations. So this is this is like literally their dominance display of the entire world. They are a monster, and they will question you. And if you have the wrong answer to the question, they will destroy you. Okay, and this is and I'm sure people are cheering this, but this is a Hebrew griffin with rainbow colors and all the rest. And if you think like Saint George, the holy knight is going to come by and fight these creatures, they're not. You know what I mean? There's all of the hero battles the dragon, hero battles the monster in the countryside. Stories, those myths, all those narratives. Don't try that in New York City because they can't find all those dudes who left and the trucks that left the piles of bricks all over the country, for the summer of mostly peaceful fires and looting. Then they can't find. But I guarantee if you touch the rainbow griffin or the rainbow dragon, your ass is going to be in Rikers Island faster than you can say Al Sharpton to the rescue. You know what I mean? You don't want to do that. So all you noble heroes, whether you're St. George or what's his name, Bellerophon and Chimera or whatever, any Hobbit people, whatever, dial in the reality. Don't go fight the dragon in 30 Rockefeller Park with spray paint or anything. Don't do that. They're going to find you. No matter where you go, there's going to be a million video cameras there. You're not going to be able to get away with that. Don't do that. So the Age of Heroes, their flex is saying there are no heroes to defy us. That our monsters can just eat you up, and there's nothing you can fucking do about it. That's their level of dominance, and that's their mindset. That's why I say this is not going to get better. You know what I mean? Will hordes of people, the blacks, and then there'll be Latinos, and there'll be whites. They'll just be smashing the windows in stores and just taking everything inside. You know what I mean? These multi-million-dollar hits, by middle school dropouts is going to be very real. And the inability, like I said, to find these people, to prosecute them, to keep them in prison, the state's inability, because they're going to, again, blame shift and shift the cost onto private business. Private business is going to look to insurance companies, and the insurance company is going to go, here's how you're going to change the structure of your building. Here's what you're going to do. And then they're going to change access to who gets in and who gets out. And you're not going to be able to get in and get out without showing your phone or some sort of ID that's acceptable to them. And they're going to decide what that's going to be. It's probably not going to be your driver's license or some state issued ID. It's going to be something electronic that can follow you, like on your phone. And you don't like it, you're not going to shop there. You know what I mean? It's a private business, just like Facebook is a private business. YouTube is a private business. YouTube can deny your free speech rights. Facebook can deny you your free speech rights and your whatever rights you think you have under the 10th Amendment to engage in commerce. Well, you know what? Walgreens can keep you out because you didn't show sufficient electronic ID to go in and buy baby formula for your for the fourth kid you had by the fifth random stranger that you met in a fucking ecstasy rave in the warehouse district. So yeah. So that's that. What else? And then what else are we going to think about? I don't know. Not much other than that. So Seamus Crawford, bring back stop and frisk. The Roaring 20s are here, and it's going to get crazier and crazier and crazier. And I think that for right now, like a lot of times, a lot of people don't see that violence is a part of their life. They haven't experienced it, so it's not going to happen to you. You have what's called normalcy bias. That's not a normal part of your life, so you don't think it's ever going to happen. And you may be right, but I suspect it's going to happen to more and more people, and social media is going to spin this up. You're just going to see tons of stuff like this, endless things. And I look at this stuff now and I just laugh my head off because this is inevitable that it's going to get worse, and it's going to be broadcast everywhere, one way or another, on one platform or another, and it's going to fill your head, and it's going to be as real to you as anything else. And part of the problem is while you're looking at your phone, when you're doing everything else, when you're supposed to be looking around, you could get caught out. But there's no getting off this ride, you know. And when they're done throwing up Eric Adams and the black NYPD chief and the next person that they're going to put up, and when everyone loses faith in every single thing the government does, and the money goes to shit, absolute shit, then the party's really going to start. And when it settles down, no one's going to have faith in what anyone says. No one's going to have faith in any government promise or any individual's promise. You're going to find out that human nature is the ugly part of human nature is going to be everywhere. And I mean that for the United States, and I mean that for the rest of the world. How long is that going to take? I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? There was a great tweet. What was a tweet? Somebody said, society's about to collapse. You know, that was like the bubble here, but in their head, it was like, my life sucks. And that's true. Human beings are very solipsistic. You know what I mean? They only see things from their own point of view. Does it affect me negatively? That it's terrible. We got to get rid of it. Does it affect me positively? Oh, no, it's great. Keep going. You know, that's it. It boils down to that. You know, that was the beef between the whatever. Who's the guy? Who's the guy from Germany? The guy who invented sociology? Max Weber. You know, Max Weber was pissed about Polacks. I don't know why. You know, picking his apples, but you know, he didn't have the power to make all the people who left the farm to go for a better life. He didn't have the power to make them go back. So he blames the Polacks. It's easier. You know what I mean? That's the way shit really works. And you could say, no, it's more complicated than that. Listen, he made up a whole field of study where it says, you know what, it's the Polacks' fault. Why? Because they wanted a job and they were willing to pick apples. You know, it's you know, there's going to be a clash because inevitably groups try to dominate each other. That's every group tries to dominate every other group. That once it gets large enough, once it gets big enough, you know, that's what's going to happen. There's going to be pushback, right? There's going to be, no, we want this and you can't do this. And there's always going to be a problem. And the issue is the cost to police this. You know what I mean? People could make different arguments about this group or that group, but at the end of the day, the answer is the cost. It costs too fucking much. You know what I mean? To police this, to keep these people in control, to keep various different groups from killing each other, it just costs too much. And no one's willing to pay. No one wants to pay out of their pocket so that their neighbor, gets a benefit. They just don't want that. They don't want that. And they won't be able to do it. You know, to maintain civilization is quite a bit trickier than people think. There's a lot more to it than you think there is. And with the lunatics, the grandchildren of the Bolsheviks in charge of the American economy, it takes a long time to fuck up an empire as big and powerful as ours. But you know what? They're determined. They're really determined, and they have all the fucking levers of power. And they're gonna fuck shit up as much as they can fuck shit up. You know, in the long run, are we gonna be all right? Yeah, largely in the long run, we're gonna be all right. But there's some rough water ahead, kids. Don't fool yourselves. You know, and if you're thinking, you know, there's various different collapse theories. Listen, nobody's going back to fucking using like gold coins and fucking carrying a 6-shooter and shit like it's a fucking Wild West. Nobody's doing that. You're not fucking riding a horse to work. You know, like all this. Stop being a retard. You know what I mean? Everyone's still going to have smartphones. There's still going to be electricity. Everything's going to be computerized. But you're going to live, you know, when you talk about return to tradition, we have to live like our ancestors did. Well, you should look at pre-Christian Europe. You know what I mean? What did they live like? These, you know, in England, they had hill forts, right? And they would build a wall around the entire fucking town, right? So you could sleep at night. So the guys across the way didn't come in and fucking steal your shit and kill you while you were sleeping, right? They had that in the Ukraine. Those the Scythian fucking whatever. They would have a whole bunch of buildings, and they would surround them with a fucking wall. And if you were on this side of the wall, you were one of us. Everything's good. If you're on that side of the wall, you're not one of us. Everything sucks, right? Different versions of this have existed everywhere, and it's going to exist again, except it's going to be a high-tech version, and you're going to need your smartphone to get into and out of, okay? And that's going to be for retail stores. That's going to be for your place of business, and for and where you live. You know what I mean? To get into and out of your domicile, and you could say, "Oh, that sucks," and I lost my Fourth Amendment right to privacy, and I feel like a digital number. You know what? You don't have, you could go live with the psychos. You could go live with the Mad Max people, and you're not going to like that. You weren't built for that, and you're not going to like it. You know what I mean? You're going to turn around real fast and go, you know what? Electricity, hot water, yeah, that's, you know what? That's my vibe. I vibe on that. You know, soap. Soap and refrigerated foods. Yeah. How do I do it? What am I going to do? What is the list of shit I got to do to get where that is fucking a regular occurrence? You know, because you're not going to want to live in the Badlands or the free lands where you can smoke all the weed you want, take fucking mescaline and shoot a fucking machine gun into a school full of fucking children. You're not going to like that a whole lot. That's a pretty shitty life. But there'll be areas like that that'll be out of fucking control. And this Logan's Run, fucking Brave New World, whatever you want to call it, you know, digital dystopia is going to offer a lot of comforts to a lot of people. Now the question is, who's in charge of it? You know what I mean? And what's that going to look like? But the future is going to look a lot like you're going to wear a band or something that identifies you, so you can go into and out of places that are secure, and those areas will be secure. And the reason why they'll be secure is because on the outside of those areas are bloodthirsty fucking monsters. And I'm not talking about some gay ass fucking Hebrew statues in New York City. I'm talking about really like gangs of fucking lunatic murderers, you know? So that's the further future. But in order to get to that, to get there, a bunch of stuff's going to have to change. You know, too many people that talk about stuff like this, you think that something comes from nothing, but something always comes from something. You know what I mean? Whatever America 2.0 is going to be, is going to contain a lot of America now. You can like it or you can not like it. You know what I mean? A lot of the good stuff and some of the bad stuff too. You know, it's going to be managed differently and viewed differently by everyone. But it's the idea that we can get from here to fucking utopia, from here to perfection is nonsense. You know, all we have to do is, you know, like you have to stop that. You don't have to stop that. You can keep doing whatever nonsense you want to do. There's a guy, It's like he's a movement guy. I'm in the movement. I'm in the white power movement or the white people movement. He's a guy. I tried to debate him, but he didn't want. He just completely ignored me. Deep South Man or South Man, Deep South Man, I think he's called. Whatever. Josh Neal and him do like these spaces things, and he's a movement guy, and he's about blah 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 blah. And it was funny. There's somebody I was listening to the call, and somebody asked him to talk about boxing and MMA. And the guy's like, yeah, maybe someday we'll do a podcast about boxing and MMA. And I'm like, okay, white power guy, how are you going to do like a boxing MMA podcast without saying nice things about brown people? You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of brown people in the fight game. You know what I mean? There's a lot of dudes from Brazil or whatever. There's different, you have to go, oh, by the way, see that black guy? He's tough as fuck. You know what I mean? He's tough, he's fast, he's coordinated. You're going to have to say nice things about groups you don't really like. You know what I mean? In order to do, if you're going to cover MMA and boxing, you know what I mean? But they're ideologically incapable of doing that, because that's, when you're a movement guy and you're in the revolution, you can't say nice things about the out group. That's, I don't know, it's cucking or something. I don't know what it is. So for these people, which there's some similarities to the left, is that their ideology trumps everything, and they just choose, okay, I'm not going to pay attention to that. I'm not going to deal with that. And as you isolate yourself from reality, you're isolated from reality. And sooner or later, that's going to end really, really badly for you. But for someone like me, who has, who's been around the stuff and listened to everybody's idea 20 times and see that, I'm not being blackpilled. I'm not blackpilling you just to blackpill, but your ideas suck. And you have no fucking practical way to do any fucking thing. You know what I mean? You couldn't fucking get a loaf of fucking bread fucking baked, much less build rebuild a society. Eileen Weaver. Who are you? Hello. Welcome to the show. How did you get here, Weaver? Just out of curiosity. So you're not going to do that. You have to be practical about what's going to come, and what's going to come is partially going to be based on what we have now. You cannot get something from nothing. Something always comes from something. You came from your parents, right? Something. They came from their parents, something, right? You didn't fucking pop, fall out of the sky. Like I know they told you, like when you were a little kid, that the stork delivered you, like the mommy was sitting there one day on the porch and a bird came by with a little baby and dropped it on the porch and flew off, and that's the stork delivered you. That's a fun story when you were a little kid, but that didn't actually fucking happen, right? So, when you're done with your childish worldview and you think, okay, what are we actually going to do and how are we going to do this? Most of the ideologues that I've ever heard have like no clue. You know what I mean? Because it's ideology uber alles, and reality will make you bend the knee. It absolutely will make you bend the knee. And in terms of, we're going to beat the left. Listen, the left promises you shit that they don't deliver, but at least they promise people shit. The fucking right doesn't even get to the phony promise. You know what I mean? The left says, we're going to make everyone's good. Communism, we're going to make everyone equal. Everyone will have, I don't know what everyone think they're going to have. We'll all have a swimming pool, and we'll all have a nice car, and we'll all have a 2.4 bedroom house in the suburbs, or whatever the fuck they promise you, right? Now, they can't deliver it. They're not going to deliver it. What you're going to get is a gulag and an authoritarian surveillance state that's fucking run on fear and fucking murder. That's what you're going to get. But at least they promise you something. When you talk to right-wing people, they're like, hey, okay, how are we going to make how are we going to make sure that the water we drink is clean? And they go, nationalism. And you go, no, there's microbes and the stuff, and you got to know how much. Okay, how about how are we going to, what is the medical system going to be? What's that going to look like? And they go, nationalism. And you're like, yeah, no, we have problems here. Some things are good, some things suck. You need a thoughtful approach to how to fucking fix this. They got no fucking answers. They don't even make the fucking answers up. It's just like we'll wake up in the morning and we'll say, I hate the commies, I hate the commies, I hate the commies, and then everything will be perfect. Well, that's not the way it goes, you know. And all the shit that they think is so fucking easy, they've never done, and no one they know it does. So they're living in a fucking fantasy world. They're living in a fantasy world as much as the lunatic who thought, let's put a fucking gay rainbow dragon in the middle of Rockefeller fucking Center on Christmas, and it's Christmas time, like that would be a hit. Like, who's that a fucking hit with? You got a bunch of dopey fucking tourists like shell shocked, wondering what the fuck is going on in the middle of the world's deadliest pandemic, of which 99 out of 100 people survive. Anyway, is that Eileen Weaver? I don't even know what kind of VOH FYI. I don't even know what does that mean, VOH FYI. I have no idea what that means. I'm like 3/4 of a boomer. I'm such a boomer. I went to the range today. First time in fucking like a year and a half that I went to the fucking range. I realized it cost me like $100. 2 boxes of ammo at $33 a piece. And I got to drive to Pennsylvania. That was fucking 50 miles each way. And then the range time, the target stuff was like 20 something dollars. It's $100 to go shooting. $100 fucking dollars to go shooting. And I didn't even do that much. But I haven't gone in a while. And I, been wanting to do it. So that's that. It's and the reason why I went to Pennsylvania is because if you go to New Jersey, if you want to shoot in New Jersey in a public range, they always want you to bring somebody with you because in the early days when they first opened them up, a bunch of people committed suicide. They just went in like solo and blew their brains out. So mentally ill people are, mentally ill. So it's not a law or anything, but all the ranges in New Jersey are like, well, you have to come with a friend or a family member, like 2 people, unless you're shooting your own guns. Now I'm shooting my own guns, but they always look at you sideways. They always look at you like, they give you this. And I'm like, I don't fucking need that. Just let me go to Pennsylvania where I can be with normal people. So I got to do a range day today, first time in a long time. And I did okay. I'm somewhat happy with some things, not happy with other things. There's limited time, and for me to correct my mistakes. By the time I sort of started feeling like, oh yeah, this is working exactly the way I wanted to, they were like, time's up, you got to go. I'm like, alrighty then. But whatever. That's at least I got to do something I wanted to do. Anyway, Christmas is coming up. Not much has changed, right? This. You have to be smarter about what you see in social media. Okay. This whole idea of like stay out of cities. I don't know. Like that's a popular thing, but that was the same kind of thing they used to say when in 2019, when it was saying demography was destiny, and nobody saw like the COVID thing coming, and nobody saw it, So most of your ideas are wishful thinking, either positive or negative. Like you're projecting your fears or you're projecting your hopes. Right now, I'm guessing a lot of people are projecting fears, even though I just said a bunch of stuff that's not super happy. In the long run, I'm positive, but in the short to medium term, a lot of disruption, and a good idea if you stay level headed about it. I don't think anybody's going to go out and do anything stupid, but expect changes, expect a lot of crime, the inability for the government to deal with the crime. They're going to shift this onto, like I said, private business. And then the way you go in and out of stores, ID, who you are, where you're allowed to go, access control to buildings and stuff is just going to ramp up and ramp up and ramp up everywhere. And people aren't going to complain because the alternative is chaos and violence. That's what's going to happen. And, in the meantime, enjoy the show. You know what I mean? It's going to be crazy. there's nothing you can do to stop it. Don't waste any tears over it. Protect yourself, protect those you care about, and and to prepare for life on the other side of this. Which is going to be in some ways the same and in some ways different. Anyway, what are we coming up? We're coming up on 1 hour. I'm going to bail because the shorter I make these, the higher, the more views I get. And since I had at one point, I maxed out at like six viewers, a 500% increase from last week's show. I will say thank you to everybody for showing up, including our new viewer, Eileen Weaver, whoever you are, or Elney. Elney? I don't even know what that is. You'll have to correct me in the future. Anyway, zombies, dragons, Christmas time in New York. What more could you ask for? A black female police chief. Oh my God. It's going to be crazy the next few years. Buckle up, everybody. But don't lose your sense of humor and don't lose your sense of perspective. In the end, we're going to win, but you got to be smart about it. All right. I'm going to say goodnight. I'm going to try and find the outro music. Probably going to be like a 4-minute lag. But when I shut the camera off and the outro music comes on, but still, I will soldier on. Anyway, thanks a lot, everybody, for showing up.
Said and done. All your fiat inflate to me on the sun, but no more because now there's a better one, and his properties perform better than all the rest of them. It's mathematical, no more double spend. It's encryptable. Put your cash in your brain or it's wearable. A new form of wealth begins, and I want you to know, Toshi, I love to earn my digital gravy. I love to spend my Bitcoins, matey. I love Satoshi's Bitcoin, baby. Rewards keep coming, I love my Bitcoin, so shady. So send me one more Bitcoin, baby. I love Satoshi's Bitcoin, baby. It's just dying from all the heat. Constantly, mine is hashing blocks so securely. There's no chargeback, sign up, or other fees. Bitcoin sent to me from your private keys, and it feels like we've been rescued. Mankind set free from the bond of death's currency. Irreversible, replayable, divisible, cleverly. So I want you to know, Toshi, I love to earn my digital gravy. I love to spend my Bitcoin, matey. I love Satoshi's Bitcoin, baby. It's just dying from all the heat. I love my Bitcoin, so baby. So send me one more Bitcoin, baby. I love Satoshi's like a Bitcoin. Designed to be scarce and worth alone. Beats every record we've known. A shard for each phone, that's how miners roll. And the blockchain goes on and on. Toshi got this problem petty, solve the problem, double spins. Proof of work with all the hash, making out some digital cash. Miners stack the same or spin, share their answers with their friends. Silicon bridge rate, change the block, while kids carry frame throwing rocks. So you fools shorting Toshi. Folks is standing with their glasses rosy. When the world finds out we can't play, you'll join this party fashionably late. I love to earn my digital gravy. I love to spend my Bitcoins, Manty. I love to touch my Bitcoin, baby. Green was becoming a Bitcoin. I love you, it's so shady, so let me hold my Bitcoin, baby. I love to touch my Bitcoin, baby. Basic to the beat.